Hi, I'm Liz.
And I'm Rhea.
Welcome to Karma's My Bitch, a podcast about
sex,
love,
magic,
desire,
purpose,
bliss,
and how life isn't simply the stories we tell ourselves.
So I was at this Lenny Kravitz concert in Atlantic City a few months back. He was really trying to hammer home this message of let love rule. And love can do everything. It can conquer any war, and it's the best thing ever and transcend all space and time. But it's interesting because we're at a place and a point in our evolution now in our consciousness where we can see maybe not necessarily, maybe it can't do everything, even though we've talked a lot about what love can do, which is a lot.
Are we talking about lowercase love, uppercase love, all caps love? What's
all
the
the
love
loves,
here?
all the loves.
Okay,
so I know that some of these episodes have been a little bit review, but it's just so we can kind of take it to that next elevated meaning. Especially with these final episodes of season 14, we really are elevating them above and beyond where we would normally spiritually. We've always said, and we've always understood that focusing on love, lowercase L love, we used to believe that we could overcome all the ills of separation and move forward in 5D.
Yeah, because if I'm not whole and you're not whole, but together we make a whole.
And, love, from that love, it was because it was born out of separation and all of our karmic ickiness, really it was a half-assed solution, but it was the best we had. And it was a lot better than some of the other options available to us, which was just constantly killing everybody else in our way and ourselves in that self-destructive manner. We then understood love as shining our light. That's beautiful. And that's something we can do and we don't stop doing. By the time we get to bliss, however, it kind of gets folded into the greater bliss vibration.
Yeah, which we discussed in the last season where it's be in bliss with me, which is like love, but even bigger.
Yeah. Yeah. So, love gets us through, can really help us with our karmic undoing process and really does help us with, in magic as well, right? Because we talked about how fundamental it is to the power in magic. Believing that love is always going to be enough is what actually keeps us from really finding all the ways in which we can really help our world and help ourselves. And what's interesting, and I cannot believe that this is what came through, because they were okay, we're just going to put love in a corner. We're not dismissing it. We're not disposing of it. We're not saying, okay, it's gotten us this far. Now we're done with it. It's always going to be fundamental to our way of being. But the solution is the pursuit of happiness.
Which diverges from bliss. So, there's a lot here that I'm just lawyering this a little bit.
Yes, exactly. Okay. Well, we never said bliss was the solution to it all. Bliss was just an evolution.
Okay.
And the end point, the highest vibration we can get to, but we also acknowledge not everybody was going to do it.
Yes.
Yeah. Not everybody was going to sign on for it. It would be too difficult for a lot of people. I think that there was one episode, if you were born before 2000, there's a good chance that you're not going to get there because you're just not going to want to. But the unadulterated pursuit of happiness can actually be a solution.
Okay.
Go figure.
Solution going between separation and oneness.
Mm-hmm. No.
Okay. Creating
a fulfilling life within the 5D framework.
Okay.
That's what that is. Because at this point, again, if we're in a bliss season, we're already past karma. We're out of karma. We're already we've been experiencing our power.
So that's what the solution to. So whereas love might not be the solution, that pursuit of happiness.
The unadulterated.
I couldn't say that word.
I know. That's why I was try it again. Unadulterated.
Unadulterated pursuit of happiness can be the solution to kind of finding that place for yourself.
Yes. And this is for 3 reasons. The first has to do with happiness itself. One of the essential components of happiness is freedom. So the pursuit of happiness runs parallel to the other, or together, depending on how we do it. And the desire for freedom supersedes our willingness to be enslaved to anything, whether it's an idea or a way of life or whatever.
So it's basically you can't sacrifice yourself in the name of love.
Yeah. Or in the name. Okay. Yeah, exactly. Because And I think one of the reasons why they're explaining it this way has to do with the many ways in which we've manipulated love and often misunderstood it. That if we keep holding it out there as the banner to and the fix for everything, we're going to keep sometimes putting in our old ideas of it, or we risk a lot. Yeah. So until that can get weeded out of our wiring, there's just this other way to look at it, which will help us, I think, a bit better. And so with happiness comes freedom. Because in my pursuit of happiness, I need to be free to be able to understand what that means to me. And the second one has to do with truth. So as we get to know ourselves, fine, we recognize the one truth, that we are the divine, right? That's the one truth. But as we said in the previous episode, our most divine experiences define who we are. So that keeps us striving. And love is just one aspect of that full divine experience.
Question.
Question.
Is sex part of that? Is sex part of love?
No.
Well, there you go.
What do you mean by there you go?
Well, not everything can be about love. Because sometimes you just want to fuck. Yeah. Even the person you love. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you have other aspects to your relationship than just love. Mm-hmm. You have adventures. You have sex. You have intellectual pursuits. You have watching mindless TV. Like, there's so many different things that you do with a person that isn't love. You can love them and.
Yes, exactly. And the third piece has to do with our
That's
fate.
what I mean by there you go.
There you go. And I was like, yes. And the third piece has to do with fate, which is that happiness and the fulfillment of it is not only written into our fate, but it's the ultimate experience of it. So within fate lies the multitude of experiences that are, as you kind of said, can be outside of love. Therefore, does not encompass our fullest power.
I'm going to ask you to say that again in normal words, if that's okay.
So, if you imagine our fate. Sorry, I just needed to say it once that way so I could give it different sort of hue. So we have our fate. And we know that our written fate, happiness and full happiness is written into our written fate. Mm-hmm. Not in our unwritten fate, that's bliss. Which means that everything that we choose once we are in our full fate will deliver us to happiness. And that's why we call it the pursuit of happiness. It's the pursuit of everything that is within our fate and everything that is due to us. While love is a piece of that, because it's us shining our light and our purpose is a big part of our fate. As you said, there's so much more to all of our experiences as the divine and of the divine. And as we explore our divinity, love cannot encompass all of that. That was never the point of it. So even if we're powered by love and all that light shining through us and coming through our consciousness as it's ever growing, developing, etc., we still have a vast world and people and things to do. It can't be all love all the time.
I mean, when I go to the shops and I eat a yummy fruit, it's not love. It's just eating a yummy fruit.
Mm-hmm. It's pleasure. We understand once we're out of our karmic world and reality, there is so much more within the spectrum of experience.
Well, sorry, I just mean like love and you can eat a piece of fruit with someone you love. But they're two things that are happening at the same time.
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain it differently. Like love's there, but there's also other things that you're doing together.
Yeah. I'm loving you as I'm eating my mango.
Yeah, exactly. Mango's yummy.
So this is really what we're aiming for when we're in our pursuit of happiness and ultimately bliss if we're choosing it, which is the greatest expression of our power. It's our greatest power, which if we're in bliss, the capacity to write our own fate and not be subjects to circumstance, but the composer or writer of our lives is ultimately where we want to get to.
So we have the love and the fruit and the sun and the yummy book and the.
Exactly. We are at a point in our evolution that so much of what we'd experienced, even in the greatest way possible, while enough isn't fully enough. Like there's more by this stage. So, fate plus happiness yields power. And that specific power is what powers bliss. So I'm trying to see if I can do I need to explain it differently?
I mean, in my head, it's just like, and everyone's different. Mm-hmm. But for me, let's say that baseline is love, right?
Okay.
In the sense that I've got love, but then I've also got, if I only had love and nothing else, love would eventually not be enough because I'd be like, well, I just have this. It's like I also have toes or fingers, but then I can take those toes and those fingers and like walk somewhere or make something. So I get to have love and the fruit and the thing that makes me happy with the love. So it's like, it's a component of it. It exists, and probably, like, for me personally, probably wouldn't be able to exist without it, but it doesn't mean that it's all of it.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I understand it.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's fair.
So I feel like love isn't enough as like a blanket statement that makes it sound as if like love means very little, but it's not that at all. It's like, okay, fine, I have the house, but I'd also like the heating.
Yeah.
And I'd also like the running water.
Yeah, and I didn't mean to say like it's not enough. By this point in our evolution, it can't be everything. Not when we're here. When we know we're
Because you also want all the other
more.
stuff.
Exactly. And you're capable of all of that at this stage. Hence the power.
Yeah, like we can go and sit in a park and share a sandwich, but we can also go to Hawaii. So let's go to Hawaii. We can still be together doing that.
I was wondering where you were going with the sandwich, but I'm like, we're really talking a lot about food. And then you said Hawaii, and I was like, oh, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
I was like, I like that idea better.
Yeah, it's just like that's still got love in it, and it's still got all the things in it, but it's just like way better.
Yeah. So it's from that, and exactly, carrying that Hawaii sandwich metaphor, or analogy, I should say, that's pretty much how you know you're in bliss. Because you are not only recognizing that possibility, you're exercising it. That's the power. And that ends up being fully expressed divine identity. Not only do I recognize I have this option, and not only do I have the power to kind of execute it, I'm bold enough to go ahead and make that jump because I can. You see the progression? I will never settle.
Whilst knowing everything's enough.
Exactly.
Okay.
I mean, at this stage, it's enough until it's not enough. And that's why magic is such an essential component, because it reminds us of that and how to operate within that space of like creative energy. So fully expressed divine identity is twofold. It acknowledges I am the architect of my life and I listen to no one but myself. Okay, then. I feel like we kind of said that in the previous episode, but that's really... Yeah. But the reason why this gets its own episode is full divine identity is really important, because we talked about, in the early seasons about divinity. Just acknowledging that you have some divine aspect is a huge leap for a lot of people. It's a big step. And even getting you to use the word divinity unironically was a big step.
Fucking me, I know.
I think it was like many seasons later where you could say it with a straight face. And to go from acknowledging one's divinity to being like, oh, the divine is there. And then being able to go from that to, well, I am the divine. And that is, again, as we had the previous episode, a massive leap in evolution. Hence the growth and evolution conversation of the previous episode. And then we had to talk about divine expression. That is just how we are. That's all of our uniqueness. Yeah. Like you're freak and you acknowledge what your freak was, and that's divine expression. But what is full divine identity? I mean, now we're parsing this out, but because we have to. These are all the essential pieces to bliss. While we might have the foundation, now we're seeing all these really specific pieces. So complete divine identity has to do with peace and unadulterated beingness. Unadulterated beingness.
Sorry, I'm just laughing.
I know.
Like,
I mean, honestly,
now. Okay, go on.
So many words. It's just words.
Please refer back to the episode where we said that words mean nothing.
I was just going to say that. Can we just kind of like be telepathic about this? Just read my mind. But unadulterated beingness is I am who I am wherever I am. This is different from full divine expression, because full divine expression is, there's 3 ways in which they are distinct. The first has to do with the fact that when we're our full divine expression, we are still having to filter through this human body, through our words, etc. That's not always going to come through 100%. Things get filtered.
Yeah.
Even from this space. The second distinction has to do with the fact that we're still learning what that means. It's ever evolving. Yeah. And the third has to do with how we conduct our relationships. Because no matter how we are fully expressing, we're still often going to be operating within the bounds of how we're relating to another person.
Yeah, they're still reacting back to you.
Yeah. But full, unadulterated beingness and complete peace, which is divine identity, and saying, I am who I am wherever I am, which means I'm the most unstoppable force. It is so difficult to explain this because there aren't a lot of people who are capable of this. Because of their general wiring, we really aren't going to be seeing this for a bit, but there are beings like this. We are socialized to fit in. We are socialized to be less aware of ourselves and more aware of the other person. So we conform not just to the social structures and strictures, but the expectations when we're in the same room with other people. And because of that is so wired into our beings that it's almost impossible to unwire that. And I don't mean rewire it, because even rewiring will make that difficult. We almost can't unwire that, which means we need beings who never did it in the first place.
Okay.
But we do this from a place of humility and not ignorance. It's not like, well, you just have to take me for who I am. It doesn't work that way. You're not in bliss or bliss adjacent or even in the pursuit of happiness if you're just being an asshole.
Yeah.
No judgment. But it's also about understanding that just because a person is being fully themselves doesn't make them an asshole either. And so we know, and what makes, and why we had to talk about compatibility and stuff in the previous episode, what makes room for a lot of this is, in my pursuit of happiness, at a minimum, means I will not be enslaved to a single idea, ideology, or any other concept other than what lies within this happiness for me and my purpose and stuff. Because I have to make room for what that looks like, because I have to be free to do this. You have the same. And I can understand you and see all of that because I'm doing it for myself. That is I, thou to the 10th degree. Again, with the 15 ways that we talked about in the previous episode. No matter how awake or conscious we are or self-aware we are, it is every step in our power and toward our empowerment that delivers us to divine awareness.
So like there's the more you live and the more you do stuff and the more you experience, everything kind of comes into play.
But in terms of elevating all of those experiences, that's where we're at now. And this is, again, where we're going to start to diverge from a lot of spirituality and its modalities. Because people are going to stop and say, well, if I'm super spiritual and I have this consciousness, that's going to be enough. And while it's nice, and we're like, yeah, if you can get to happiness, great. But that's not even going to define happiness by this stage. There's so much more to that. And this is because this is much more grounded. This is how we're going to be able to function within this world, as opposed to those who are just going to set themselves apart because they have all this spiritual knowledge.
And also, it's all well and good to feel happy in a silo. But I don't think anyone ever gets into this work for that reason. I just don't think you do. You get into this work to make your life greater. Mm-hmm. So you can say I'm happy because I'm detached or because like everything's an expression of the divine. But if that's the case, then create what you want.
Yeah.
And like that's the bit I feel like that people kind of miss, is that like it gets to a point where like I'm either going to effectively numb myself so much to this world through spirituality that none of it actually matters. And we've said this in a previous episode. Well, if none of it matters, then neither do you. And like, we're not here to do that. We're here to make ourselves matter and to create things that matter to us, so that we can actually be happy that we chose to live this life, rather than tick down the moments until we're out of it. Which, as much as people want to admit they're not, like, as much as people want to say they're not doing that, most of us are. We're just running down the clock. That's just why? So you can fit in some like normal idea of what normal world is? Like, fuck off.
I mean, amen. I mean, that's where I'm at. But that's why we had to have the episode actually about, in speaking of numbing, it's why we had to have the episode this season about drugs.
Well, yeah, because it's all a drug.
It's all a drug. And how we choose.
You're either here and you choose to live and you make your life, or you're not.
Yeah.
Like, it's just
microdosing anything just to somehow make it better is actually not going to be what changes the world. And we're having these conversations because we're in 2026. We have to really start to see, where can my powers of transformation be applied to the world now, and not just make it about like, well, I'm spiritual, so I've done my bit. You know, I've evolved enough, so whenever I pass on, I'll have done my job. No.
Yeah.
You can get to a point where, yes, good for you. That wasn't easy. But now this is where the work begins.
Yeah.
But it should be fun work. So, I mean, it's ultimately our choice to retain that sort of self-awareness and take that final step towards happiness or bliss, or remain outside of it. As we said, we're also going to always kind of respect a person's choice. But it's the power and the fullest divine expression that is the key to transcending space and time and conquering separation. So everything we've done up to happiness has always been the trajectory we've needed to take. The karmic undoing process, coming into our divinity, or understanding our power, personal empowerment, meaning, purpose, fulfillment. Those are all such essentials to our growth and our evolution. But we still need to take that further, because that is what we're here for, which is transforming humankind's experience of themselves to remove that separation, replace it with oneness, because as long as they stay in separation, humankind will not be able to thrive and will effectively at some point self-destruct. And as soon as we can do that, we can actually find that world of peace and that, you know, kind of like that song, where we can really have those ideals come to fruition. But we need the power. We need people to be able to fully harness that power to be able to do that. And interestingly, no amount of spirituality or no single modality out there is going to get it for you. Because as you always said, you have to have skin in the game. You have to be fully invested. You have to be a fully grounded human being, an individual, to get yourself there. So you can take all the understanding and you can take a gazillion modalities out there and do all the shrooms you want, or whatever the DMT, but until you plant yourself in this world fully and heal that pain body of yours, you're not going to be that effective.
You know, thinking about the last episode and about the heart and it being the barometer and it being your divine expression and all the rest of it. I think what you're effectively saying is just go out and be you in all the ways. And that's your power. As much as we've been told it's not, it actually is. And doing that over and over again will not just change your life, but will change the world. This episode is brought to you by Karma Magic Bliss. For more information, resources, and links to our books, check out our website, karmamagicbliss.com, and Karma Magic Bliss across all socials.
And if you liked what you heard, please subscribe and leave us a review.